1960s, these grades are terrible, and we're yelling at the kid. 2010s, right? These grades are terrible, and now whose fault? Why do I think that's funny? Now, haha, funny. If you love WKRP, remember anybody WKRP? You're old like me. Right? There was funny haha, and then there was funny peculiar. And my children, I have 2 teenagers, and both girls always say, "You're laughing at, was that funny haha, or was that funny peculiar?" And Les Nessman, again, dating myself. But this one to me is funny haha and funny peculiar, because it's true. Right? It's funny because it's true, like a Seinfeld episode. Tell me why is this one true? Watching my wife spend 12 hours a week on IEPs, knowing that I used to have like May. We used to say, right, in late April, we're very sarcastic. I like this girl. She's French-Canadian, the language barriers, right? But the rest of us are very sarcastic in us. So we used to have a goodbye party to her. We did in late April. We did this goodbye, Mom. Or we had like this cake out, and she was like, ugh. Because all May, she was gone. We just don't see her. I mean, there's a body there, but it's not going to be doing anything. They may go to the restroom and back, but I don't think it even slept. Right? It's just IEP season. And then in our district, in Fort Mill, they opened up IEP season to no IEP season. It's my birthday. That doesn't exactly work that way, those of you who know about transfers. So guess what ends up happening? Now it's all year. Now it's, do we have a good week or a bad week? And she warns us. So despite all these hours, despite the exhaustion, when some kid doesn't get the right score, instead of it being the child's fault, it's you. Because you have the miracle work behind you. So I want to find out who my miracle workers are, right? You're going to learn enough about me over time. I have a Korean family, like, can you tell? No. But I have Korean family members, and when I'm in Korea, and I say, "What do you do for a living?" "I'm a teacher." They, "Oh," I mean, everybody's really excited. It's because the interpretation of teacher is world changer. When I first started teaching outside of DC, I taught at Jeb Stuart High School. If you remember the sniper shootings in Jeb Stuart, right? The sniper shootings outside of DC, and they were Jeb Stuart students. It's not an area of pride, but I want to make sure you understand where I'm coming from. Heavy gang populations. Jeb Stuart again made the news this summer because of an assault issue, a racial assault issue at the school. So Jeb Stuart's not the most beautiful, lovely place. But I got to tell you, when I was there, I've never seen such hardworking students in my life. When I moved down to Florida, I expected to see the same thing, and I did not. Because my first generation students wanted to get out. And they were willing to do anything. And when they came in, anybody know this in Spanish what they were going to address me as? Professor, I have a question. It was never, "Hey you," right? It was absolute, utter, total respect. When I moved to Florida, things changed. Jaime Escalante, you ever seen Stand and Deliver? Little math reference. Stand and Deliver, Jaime Escalante, right? When he moved from Libya, he was a Libyan refugee. And political discussion another day, another time. But when he moved to California, and he worked in first-generation homes. And guess what? They made a movie about it because he was so successful. Well, what happens when they make a movie about you? You get popular. So a private school paid him huge bucks to come over there and redo the private school to how to redo math. What he could do in that public school setting, could you redo it in this private school setting? And the answer was no. Within 1 year, he was already asked to retire. So what I'm telling you is, it's really funny that when one set of parents really wants help for their child, how they work with you. And they listen to you as the expert. But when you start going to areas where people think they know better, we cannot serve as easily as we used to. So that theme, that minor theme, I hope resonates over some of the ideas that I'm sharing. Because if we got something that is really off the wall crazy, but we're going to have people go, "Oh my gosh, that's going to work." And then we're going to have to go, how do we package that so it can be replicated at home? Because if it's not replicated at home or it's undermined at home, it's going to be the difference of where the student takes that information. You all on the same page? Boring already? Okay, good. That's my job. I am a professor all day, so I am good at boring. All right. So tell me this. I know this sounds really exhausting, but some of you, I do want to know who actually you are. I know this sounds like it's silly. So what I would love to do is make sure you say hello to your table first. I hope everybody knows each other, right? We all tend to travel in packs, right? Like wolves. And so we travel in packs. And then I do want to call out, though, and find out high school, elementary, middle, preschool. Do I have related services? All those things I'm not quite sure, all right? Just say hello to your table first for a couple seconds. Go around.
I started in January 2003.
It's a newer school, but yeah, it's right by West Toledo. You guys have a resource?
All right, I'm going to grab you back, otherwise I know this will go this way for 3 hours. So let me find out where you are first. Find anybody in a preschool setting. Okay, preschool special ed does exist, and I never know if they come to a math session, it's completely different. Because I'll be covering an Algebra 2 concept, and they'll be like, well, what does that have to do with me? Don't worry, high school people, right, we're a different animal. We cover anything that isn't a high school related thing, we're like, oh, come on. Right? So it's okay. I'm going to make sure that I cover a K-12, not P-12 now, a K-12 mathematical schedule. So let's hear, do I have people who work with students in kindergarten, first grade? All right, I know some hands will stay up, right? We'll be trying to prop it up. Second grade? Third? Fourth? Okay, now I'm learning where my transitions are. Okay, fifth? Sixth grade? Okay, 7th grade, 8th grade, and now I'm going to start doing weird things. Algebra. All right, because that could be middle school as well, even for students with disabilities, right? Geometry. Algebra 2. Anybody do any mathematics for students with disabilities beyond Algebra 2? Awesome. Tell me the courses.
AFM.
What's AFM?
Advanced Model Recognition.
Oh, awesome.
Discrete math.
Discrete math. Okay. Same. All right. Research-wise, we've done this. Finance management. I'm going to try to bring us up to at least Algebra 2. We'll get research in it in a bit when we start covering techniques. But the heaviest emphasis, guys, although I'm going to cover up to Algebra 2, and some of you are like, oh my gosh, my math phobia is beginning, right? Relax. Because the most important person to prep for Algebra 2 is actually that kindergarten through 2nd grade years. So as funny as that sounds, we're going to be spending, I may be talking about an Algebra 2 concept even today. It gets much heavier than that later on in the courses. But I'm going to be focused on what happens in K2 that really lead up to that. Because math is a language. And if you don't understand the language early, it falls to pieces later on. So right now, my 6th grader last night, she's doing something, and she got really, really stressed about something, and she goes, well, I don't get it. I wrote down the answer, but it's not working out. And I said, did you write down 8.6? And she stopped me. I hope this makes sense. She goes, Dad, I mean, even if she's frustrated, and I was trying to get very procedural explicit, 8.6. And she goes, you mean 8 6/10? What I'm explaining is, I didn't grow up with that math language. I grew up with a lot of points and dots put into my language. She grew up with me and with a new level of mathematics being pushed on her. She doesn't know what 0.6 means. That's something that the GPS says ridiculously, or Al Roker would say. It's nothing that a math person would say. So she is the one who has to clarify, even in stress, you mean 6/10. And so we're going to talk about this math language that's developed, and hopefully, cross your fingers, you're going to start seeing this wave effect. I know it's changed how we teach. I want to see if it's what we're pushing on all of our students, because math is a language. If you don't know that, let me explain. University of Florida, I'm getting my doctorate. I sat down with Dr. Kerry Riker, and I said, okay, tell me what language should I take? What language should I take? I got a little Russian in my background. I have a little German in my background. Can I do that? And he looks at me cross-eyed. He goes, I thought you were a math guy. Yeah, I want to do math, but you know, math isn't just numbers. There's word problems. And he goes, no, you don't get it. You're going to take statistics as your foreign language. I said, wait, what are you talking about? Statistics is my foreign language. I laughed. And he goes, no, you're taking statistics as a foreign language. Math is considered a foreign language at the University of Florida. So when I say math is a separate language, we've gone this way several decades ago. We've just got to bring it home now. All right, so let's chat I want to find out who you are first a little bit. I only asked about teachers. Do I have anybody who is an instructional coach? Yeah, a couple. Do I have, you never know about interlopers. Do I have, this is just got to talk to each other. Bill Gates says set new settings in here that make things don't speak. Do I have anybody who is an administrative position? School psychologist? And I'll cover one that I hope influences everybody at some extent. You are related or have children of your own. Because if you do that, I hope that some things we talk about, you're like, oh my gosh, I now get it. So I hope that we have those aha moments. If not, shame on me, bad professor. All right, here we go. Well, first, I do want to make the point that although I'm a math geek, literacy has ruled us. And there's a good reason for literacy ruling us. This is outside of Miami. This was the school hole zone. Right, but don't worry, I'm going to bring it home to North Carolina. I don't think you're exempt from this. You have tobacco fields in the background and we're the school zone here. And then I can travel up, and now you work a lot with Michigan too, and yes, not just in Miami and not just in eastern North Carolina, but yes, as well as Michigan, right? These are things you'll build your cars, just to warn you, they believe in the school zone as well. So, although literacy, when there's an error in literacy, we all go, oh my God. But when there's an error in math, is it as obvious? Right? Not 20% off, not 30, not 40, not 50. It's half off. Anybody remember Circuit City? Yeah, you had deals there you didn't even know were deals. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying here, but that's pretty good. And I'll make it worse if you've ever gone and asked for change. And I'm a staker. I'm a bit of a. I'm very sarcastic, and it's a fault. Trust me, marriage has taught me several times over it's a fault. Hanging out with the guy buddies, this is fun. Marriage has taught me to stop doing that. So I'll go and I'll buy a drink, and they'll say it's $1.25. And I say, oh, I have $2. And they'll start doing change on it. I said, wait, I found the quarter. And they'll be, and I said, so I get the full $1 back, right? And I hand it back, and I've already got the change for 75 cents in my hand. And I said, so here's a quarter, do I get $1 back now? Okay. And they will immediately exchange it for me until my wife slaps me on the hand and says, stop that! They can't go in negatives. And what I'm getting into is our standards wait till the 6th grade to hit a negative number. You know what negatives are really? Subtraction. So as soon as we do that, please know, no matter what standards we set, the international community looks at us and goes, what's wrong with you people? Because we regard negatives not as subtraction, but some other world. We have this whole discussion on a number array until they become 11, and then we say, oh, by the way, it goes that way too on the number line. What? Right? We're the only country that does that. So there are some things we need to do to help these children out. But I got to tell you, we can play a lot with this. Take a look at some of the data that comes from the National Assessment of Adult Literacy, and take a look. This is not students with disabilities. These are our gen ed. These are our high flyers, right? 78% of adults cannot explain interest on a loan. Which means that when you sit there and try to refinance, someone says, oh, that'll be 2 points. And you go, my mom told me to, I'm never supposed to do points. Well, why? It's the percent down, it's what plays into that loan rate. But we were never taught that, because it was never explicitly taught. And someone expected you to discover it over time. Because it's important, right? That's not how it works. It's not how any learning works. I'll give you the next one. 71% of adults cannot calculate miles per gallon. Maybe they don't want to calculate miles per gallon. But right, 58% of adults cannot calculate a 10% tip. What they did is they had 2 restaurant menu items. We gave them $4.95 and then fries, $1.50. We made them add those and then add a 10% tip. I think we're like, I don't know, Montana, there was no sales tax type thing. But no sales tax, just add a 10% tip. And we had less than half our population could even do that. Which means they couldn't add decimals and add a 10% tip. It's reported differently. 8th graders cannot practically shading a third of a rectangle. And what we did, we gave them a rectangle and we split it in half, and then we cut that half into a half. And we said shade in a third. And right? A lot of kids, a quarter of our gen ed population shades in just 1/3. 1 out of 3 parts. Not a third, 1 out of 3 parts. Last one here, 45% of adults could not solve word problems that require dividing fractions. Because when you divide, numbers get smaller, and fractions screws up all that fun. So, Here's what we're going to try to do, and I hope you coach me along the way with where we should go with this. Today we're going to talk about accessing standards-based classrooms. We're going to talk about how do we build into the standards, how do we read that standard to make sure I can have a kid access it. The next steps we're going to do to optimize. It's a task analysis piece. If you've got a large steps, anybody remember What About Bob, the movie? Baby steps? We're going to do What About Bob? We'll have baby steps to whatever standards you're talking about. But that's our next step here. Well, then you get into stepwise assessments. This has a place. If you got to know where the standard goes first, what's the ultimate goal? We're going to, the next step, optimize how we're going to get to the ultimate goal, and then how you're going to assess them along the way. Because if you're going to sit there and say, oh, he's got 50%, does he really have 50% of the knowledge? I have two wonderful, beautiful girls. They are gorgeous. I love these two people. And they get very good grades. But one of them was called highly gifted. They said, oh, by the way, your daughter's highly gifted. And I said, really? And Laura's right there, by the way. And I said, really? And he goes, yes, she's highly gifted. Her IQ's very high. And I said, well, I'm glad you said that, but I'll tell you in 30 years if she's highly gifted. Recently, the research on gifted education does not always align itself with who ends up being the most successful in this world. Therefore, I don't want to hear about my kid being gifted until she puts her tail to the grindstone and gets to work. And at first she was like, oh. And I said, no, I'm not putting you down. I'm telling you, you've got a long way to go. I don't need to praise you and put you to a program that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get gifted education. Because sometimes it's a matter of who's teaching, not what's being taught. So, I'm going to talk about stepwise assessments. How do we actually assess the students, which will set up the error patterns of that student. The next steps on this today are differentiated instruction. It is grandiose. I'm going to give you the pie in the sky answer, and then we're going to talk about how to make that happen in a room. The last part here is actually the only thing I really want to do here. Something called CRO. That's the toys in the back. That's the whiteboards up here. That's the how-to stuff. Everybody wants to get there, but I'm afraid of throwing it at you and having fun with it, and then it not being implemented in exactly a precise differentiation piece. All right, ready to move? Here we go. So, time to access the standards. I know, you're as excited as me. I feel it. I feel it. You feel that in the room? No, I don't do that. All right, so let's talk about accessing the standards. First part, I'm going to use some of the framework that we had in our recently published elementary book, which talks about the interaction of 4 different parts of math. It's assessment. Assessment drives the other parts. If you could predict this or kind of envision this to be a triangular pyramid, they all connect. Learner characteristics, curriculum, and instruction. Oftentimes, the curriculum that is chosen is not, it's a textbook. We talked about real quickly before you walked in, right? Where everybody walked in. But that curriculum may not match the learner characteristics. And I got to tell you, in many states, that curriculum does not match the assessment either. Therefore, it's just randomly chosen because someone's philosophical beliefs. I know that's not happening in Cabarrus, right? All right, never happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about if this is the curriculum and these are the assessments, what are we doing to meet students' learner characteristics and what kind of instruction matches that? So I walk into districts that are very direct instruction. The whole district is direct instruction. Knowing that, I know what kind of instructional changes I need to make in my classroom to help bridge the gap for the problem solving. If I walk into a holistic instruction where it's all center-based, figure this out on your own. I call it pooled ignorance. You've ever gone to a pooled ignorance lesson? You can't do it? None of you can do it? All right, well, here's some materials. Figure it out. Right? And I have 4 people who don't know what they're doing talking about it. So that kind of, if that's a pooled ignorance scenario I walk in, I'm having a discussion on direct instruction. No matter what the answer is, there's always another step to take. Has anybody ever moved multiple states in your career? A couple. Which means every single time you walk into a new environment, you got to relearn a system. So that's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to talk about the adaptability of it. So today, for right now, we're going to talk about learner characteristics, and I'm going to stay focused on learner characteristics. Well, they're going to drive crazy. Here we go. So let's play a game. Because you guys look exhausted, so I'm going to play a game. Working memory. Who here has a weak working memory? 3 people raise your hand. I'm going to tell you my rule. My wife says, Brad, go to the grocery store, and she gives me a list. And on her list, as I'm shopping, now I know better than to try to group things. I walk down that Walmart aisle and I go, okay, I need bread. And I grab the bread. And then I look at the next one, carrots, and then I go back to carrots. The next one may say, I don't know, tortillas. Okay, back to the same aisle. And I'm crossing that list again. Because I don't, if I group them, I'll forget. So somewhere along the way, she has known not to do this, but early in the marriage, she would say, "Oh, Brad, don't forget," and she lists me things. So apples, bananas, and celery, right? And I go, ABC, ABC, apples, bananas, celery, great, great, great. So I get through the whole list, and I go, okay, what else did she want me to do? A, so I go grab some asparagus, okay? B, I go, well, B, she wanted bread, we already had bread. And then C, I go grab some carrots. So when I get home, we're unloading everything, and she goes, "Where are the apples?" Walmart, man, Walmart, they're all bruised, they're gross looking, you didn't want those. "Where's the bananas?" "They were brown, I mean, it's Sunday, I mean, they was as old, and I've got an excuse for everything. The truth is, I have a weak working memory. I cannot remember what happens in one, if I'm working on one thing, you can't add something to it during that time. Anybody have a weak working memory? All right. So I need to learn names. Hold on. So tell me your name. I promise you got the easiest job here. Don't worry. Shannon. So Shannon's going to take notes. I don't have a little Word doc. I just need, I know, you can do it. So she's going to take notes for us. If I can get, I'll give you a pen. Would that be it? The old fashioned.
We're done.
All right, all right. So Shannon's going to take notes. I'm going to give you 3 things to memorize. And you're going to have to memorize these. Do not write them down. You're going to memorize them. And you're going to, and we'll work a little bit with it, but then I want to see how you can regurgitate 3 things back to me. I won't remember that I even said 3 things. That's why she's writing. Okay, you ready? Okay, number 1, let's say it's math day, so we're going to word numbers. 48, 16, 93. Now what I want you to do on your computer or on a piece of paper, write those 3 numbers down in ascending order, from least to greatest. All right, if they didn't write it down, we're in trouble. Yell it out to the corner. Ascending. You're right, ascending, least to greatest. You got it?
So you want me to say it?
Yep, yell them out for us.
Okay, 16, 48, 93.
All right, how many people got all 3 right in the right order? Okay, take a look around, it's important. 3 is a level that gets around 90% of the population for working memory. All right, let's try 5. Okay, shake it out, you're ready. You can do it. You can do it. I'm just going to try 5. Okay, I'll be counting on my fingers, so make sure I got 5. All right, ready? 72, 98, 31, 4, 56. All right. What I want you to do is write these down in descending order from greatest to least.
It's gone.
Done, tapped out? Don't do that, just guess it out loud. We're going to cheer on whoever's working on it. I'm going to get it.
That's what I did.
I could be needing countdown during this time, but that's not helpful. All right, Shannon, yell them out for us, because otherwise we'll never get to it.
Okay, 98, 72, 56, 31, 4.
All right, one more time for this group. I know, what's wrong with that? One more time.
Okay, 98, 72, 56, 31, 4.
How many people got them all right in the right order? This is incredibly important. I have one person who has a working memory can do this. By the way, that is a weak working memory test. If you've ever gone through psychometrics, we actually have to do another task that has nothing to do with it. And then we come back and I ask you about, remember those 5 numbers that we said earlier today? Write those down in ascending order, right? It's something, whoa. This is a simple task for it. All right. I want to know what that means to our education, but let's first clarify some things. How many things are you supposed to be able to memorize at a time? 7. Who said that? Anybody know that person? No, she just said it, yes. But who's the researcher? Who's the, and I'm going to put in quotes, researcher who told us 7? Piaget. Everybody in here had to take a class and learn Piaget's theories. Now, let me explain. On the National Math Panel, we went back through Piaget's actual original research data. It's a congressional panel, so we sequestered data on it. And you know what we found? He studied 2 kids, his own. And guess what? He has no validating studies on it. So let me explain what a validating study is. Someone takes exactly what Piaget said, they implement it with another group of students, and they get the exact same results. There are 0 replication studies that validate any of Piaget's findings. But yet, as a freshman and sophomore in college, you would have memorized all of that lovely stuff. Listen, Piaget has some really neat influences. He told us to do things differently, and for that, a rabble-rouser in the group, right, it's an important thing to have a rabble-rouser to shake it up. What we don't always have to do, though, is follow the rabble-rouser's ideas, because he was wrong. He said 7 plus or minus 2, and guess what every single research study out there says? Max it at 3. Anybody have young kids you have to watch the Disney Channel? My 6th grader still does that. It's driving me crazy. All right, so when we watch the Disney Channel, it's 3 simple steps. All you will need, 3 simple steps. Everything's based on 3's as a max. When I go to marketing research groups, and I work with, because I'll do the, trust me, if math is near here, it's an issue everywhere. So I work with major companies. Guess what every marketing company I work with says? When we have an advertisement, we do not present more than 3 pieces of data at a time, because they'll never remember it. And by the way, if I'm working on a low-end product that's cheaper, I work with one thing only. If I'm selling a more expensive product, a Lexus car, we work on 3 things because that's the max working memory that can be taken in. Why am I bringing that up here? We believe Piaget. We actually don't read research on this. We read Piaget. So tell me about your math textbooks. What are they based on? When you hit the Google search and you find a cool lesson, what's that lesson based on? And how many steps are going to be in that lesson? 7. On the low end, 5. So what I'm getting at is we are teaching, our Gen Ed lessons are not even designed for Gen Ed students. So let me go back to my babies. Your daughter is highly gifted. You know what she really is? She has an eidetic memory. When she sees it once, she memorizes that vision, and then someone tells her to repeat it back, and guess what she does? Word for word, verbatim, months later. And what does someone say? You're so smart. And I keep saying, that's going to be great in a K-10, K-6 setting. But when problem solving begins, will she have been rewarded so many times she thinks problem solving is not even part of the discussion? So I make sure I am her rabble-rouser. I am underneath her, cutting her off at the knees all the time. Say, no, that's not good enough for me. Because I worry that, and her mom, by the way, has the same thing. Which, by the way, guys, is really bad for marriage. I just want to throw that out. Right? I did not say that. Oh, yes, you did. Okay, I probably did. But that's not the context, right? That's the conversation. So what I'm getting at is, though, our kids struggle with working memory, and the textbooks are geared for 5 times working memory that our kids do. So turn to your table partners. What are we going to do about that one piece? And then I'll show you some ideas. 3 minutes. Give me some strategies.
Even though it might take longer to do that lesson, ways we can look at the answer. Probably just have to research
Remember also the steps from my one example where we would say, 1, 2, let's get feedback. Remember 1 and 2.
45 more seconds.
It takes more time.
All right. let's hear out, and I have lollipops and things for calling out and discussing, but I'm hoping we can talk enough so we don't have to play games. And then give me some cool strategies. I want to go there in a little bit, but let's get some other strategies out there. What'd you come up with?
Backward chaining.
What's backward chaining?
It's where if you have those multiple step things, and what you do is you give them everything but the last step, then they practice that last step, and once they're proficient, then you back it up another step. Once they're proficient, then you back it up another step until you're completing all the steps.
I love it. Good deal. Let's hear some other ones. So backward chaining, it's a field-dependent style. Backward chaining. Give me some other ones.
I basically said the same thing, but I said it in the reverse order, instead of backwards training, going forward, you make things.
One step explain.
They're proficient at the first stages and then add on.
You got it. Now, in your State Department and DPI, we're actually going into, it's a backward chaining, it's called backward chaining, but it's going to be presented forward. And I'm leading that one, and we're talking about how do we scaffold, step to step to step. And by the way, for students with intellectual disabilities who are often told cannot do these materials, what do we find? We can. We need more time. And you'll probably say, well, they just need more time. And then the same darn person who says need more time, all they do is repeat the same instruction and go slower. That is not the answer. It's one-step model, one-step guide, one-step independent. Then we practice the one step. It may be a 5-step problem. They practice, then we come back. Now let's do 1 and 2. And we go through that, then 1, 2, and 3. And then the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love it. Now, I do want to hold the idea because that field-dependent part is powerful. And I think that's next session, I think, is going to be field-dependent. For students who we go, these kids will never, I love when a teacher tells me a child will never learn something. I mean, please to ask me that more, because all that does is make me have a challenge. Okay, great, your students versus mine, let's go. And I'm going to cheat. I'm going to teach them other ways than presenting on the board and babbling to the board. Right? I had a physics teacher in college, honestly, he took chalk and an eraser. And this is the way he taught the entire time. And so, right, and that board knew everything. That's all I remember. So, we're all trying to look around his head. Like, what do you do? What do you say? Anyway, so we gotta find something better. All right, any other strategies? You ready, guys?
We just had explicit instruction or chunking the material, so.
So let's jump to chunking. All right, chunking is not for Friday nights in college. There is different versions of chunking. So what I'm getting at here is the learner characteristics of a strategic learner versus a non-strategic learner. Now, I don't like to say struggling students much. If you read any of my hideous books, first you're the only one who is. But we call everybody who struggles struggling learners. And I gotta tell you, that is a marketing PR piece. I can't stand, that's a little strong. I advise against the term struggling learners every time I have a book. But every single time they do a marketing analysis, what do they find? People they look for struggling learners, so that's what they're looking for. I like to call them non-strategic. Because to me, struggling makes it sound like they can't. Non-strategic makes it sound like something that I can fill in the gap. So strategic versus non-strategic. The impulsive student. The unaware that there are steps to solve it. Poor working memory.